Welcome to this week's edition of the Message Recap. What has happened to faithfulness? Where has fidelity disappeared to? These are the questions of David's life. David is, in a sense, his sin has caught up to him. Just as Nathan the prophet said that you would not only have division outwardly, you would always be in war from that day forward because of the sin with Bathsheba, but there would be division inwardly. And boy, was there ever. Absalom, his own son, had betrayed him. It started all because of Amnon and Tamar's story. Absalom wanted to avenge what had happened to his sister, and so he killed his brother, but the son of David, Amnon, and Absalom has to flee. And then Absalom and David try and reconcile, but they kind of don't. And then Absalom has this grand plan to overthrow the throne of David. And it almost worked if he had listened to the right person. And all of this, when it finally comes down to battle, father and son are enemies. And David says, I don't care what you do with the rest, my translation, but be careful how you handle young Absalom. And when he receives word that they've won the war, they've won the battle, his throne is secure, David doesn't rejoice, he mourns. Oh Absalom, oh Absalom. It would have been better if I had died instead of you. This is true faithfulness. What we said is that one of the problems with faithfulness is that there are a lot of things in this life we're committed to until it's inconvenient for us. A lot of things we're committed to until it costs us more than we're willing to pay. Most of you probably remember the silly illustration I gave of Sam's Club versus Costco. I've heard a lot of comments from all of you about that, and we had fun. But it's true. We kind of jump loyalties, and the same is true in our relationship with the Lord. But this is where we ended. The whole problem was that David took matters into his own hands with Bathsheba. Then Amnon took matters into his own hands with Tamar. And then Absalom took matters into his own hands with Amnon and David. That's the problem. Always trying to take things into our own hands. But what if faithfulness was continuing to put in God's hands what we conveniently try to keep in ours? And what we said is that the things that we have to keep giving to God, that's just it. We keep giving to them over and over and over. It's why we give every week to the Lord. Because generosity doesn't happen with one act, but faithful acts of it. This is why it's important that in our Bible reading, our devotions, our prayer life, we don't just pray one big prayer or do really good for a week reading the scriptures. We try to make it a faithful part of our life throughout the entire year because our heart begins to follow and we keep giving back to the Lord. The same is true with whatever struggle that it is. We give to the Lord and He forms it and we take it back and we have to give it back to Him. But eventually, He will give it back to us and we'll say, I don't struggle with that as much anymore. And God will say, now use it for my glory. So what is it in your life that you need to keep giving back to God? And what are the things that He has given back to you that you used to struggle with but don't anymore? And how can you be faithful stewards thereof? I hope you have a wonderful week. New Life, I know that you will live this message out for the glory of God. We'll see you soon.